going on, because there were two stories operating. There was the story of stealing of the car and stripping it, and then there was another story about the people that were in the car and what happened to them. And there was you could see, when you stood next to the photograph and looked at it, there was a scarf that was coming out from the trunk, which this woman was wearing. And this was this photograph gave me the idea to, instead of doing a catalog, I invited 5 writers to write what they thought was going on in this photograph, under the rules that they have to think of the term mens rea, and mens rea is a legal term, and it's I guess to prove first degree murder, you have to prove criminal intent. It's the criminal thought that you have to prove, and it's very, very difficult to do. And it's usually the role of the prosecutor to make that case. So, two of the writers you might have heard of. One was Richard Price. I don't know if you know what Richard Price does. He writes screenplays. He did The Color of Money. He's done Clockers. A lot of stuff. The Wire, he wrote originally dialogue for The Wire. And he's a master of street dialogue. And he essentially wrote a monologue from the point of view of this guy who was sitting there. And this woman never answers. And then I invited a woman called Sarah Weeks. She's quite a famous children's book writer. And she wrote the toughest one. I was totally kind of surprised. And she did it so fast, I called her at 10 o'clock that morning. I said, I kind of know her, she's a friend. I said, would like to do this? And she said, I'm really busy, you know. I said, we've got 2 months. She said, I can't do it. I said, if I do it, I'll do it right now. And by 4 o'clock, she emailed me the story. I thought, wow, this is really fast. And the story was called MILF. And I thought, whoa, you know, I mean, I said, Sarah, are you sure you want to, do this? Because, like, your audience is a little different from this. She said, that's okay. And it was a really interesting story about 2 children, 2 apartments talking to each other on the phone. And one is witnessing this murder. And then it's also about the mother of another one who's talking to them at the same time. She actually used it. She changed the title and everything else and used it in the book that she came out with. This is what mens rea, this is the definition of mens rea. This is the book. And in France, there's this classic mystery book series that deals with exact same colors. So I thought we would take the actual same format and design so people would know what that was. In architectural fictions, here's one of the pictures downstairs. And at the when I started this work, what sort of got me interested in this was the idea of narrative architecture. And in the early 80s, I was invited to, which I thought was kind of odd, invited to teach. It was the year at the Parsons School of Architecture, because the then chair of the architects department wanted to open up the department and not have architects talk to these potentially. He wanted to think outside the box and to come up with kind of very different kind of solutions. So I was given a kind of projects based on photographs and how the relationship, what would be the relationship to photography and architecture. And invariably we would talk about the kinds of lenses and perception and how certain lenses articulate a space. And but it got me thinking about the idea of architecture that told a story. So I began thinking about this structure and the shadow of structures, and how the shadow of the structure could be the determining factor. Because I realized that you can open up structures. So, the layers here were meant you could walk through or live in. It was kind of a theoretical architectural project. And of course, it's kind of conditioned by this would be the last building. Here's another one of the social law. I thought it was interesting that Nancy observed that only of the two structures, the Buddhas and Marx, used rocks. And I thought of that when I went home that night. I thought, wow, this is the kind of statement that could drive me to therapy. This is what does that mean? I mean, I thought, it could be an interesting paper to write some kind of dialectical relationship between Marx and Buddha. Well, that would be an interesting kind of combination. But these are, this is Bart Simpson and Mickey Mouse. But Bart Simpson is upside down. And what interests me about this was this idea of memory imprint. If you've never seen these two characters, does the work of meaning? Probably doesn't. So there's a kind of cultural initiation, or you have to recognize the image for these two to have meaning, basically. I think maybe this is a kind of learned experience. It's not an innate experience. And there's called Civil War. I really love your observation about the East-West. The bread is the West and rice is the East. So I thought that was really, really interesting. Because ultimately, Civil War is all about property. The religious things is always kind of distraction. It's always about property. What they're fighting about. And here's the Korean Morrill. This is Barry Park. And this has a light, I think. I can't remember, this is a light that goes through it, but I can't remember what date is, June, rather the Korean. The day that the Korean War ended, there's a light that goes through this at 10 o'clock, and that's the moment when the war ended. And I thought that was a nice touch for the veterans, there are virtually hardly any veterans left. But they didn't really seem to care about that. They just wanted this palpable object. And I found that a kind of an interesting phenomenon. That I wasn't, I'm not a war memorial person. And I thought, this is going to be kind of tough to do. But I didn't really do a lot of prep work for it. I actually thought about it a lot, and I actually looked at war memorials, and I found, because I didn't want to contribute to the jingoistic, tradition of war memorials, which I really didn't believe in. So I looked at a lot of war memorials and realized that war memorials, I decided, are actually kind of alienating experiences. Like when you look at a war memorial, you look at the figure, and by gazing at the figure, it disconnects you from the environment around that. So it's a very separate kind of relationship to the conditions and places that you are experiencing. So I thought, what would happen if the figure was a whole? That means you have to engage the environment. So it becomes less alienating. It's less violent. It's more an integrated experience to the surroundings that were the place where the monument is. And it worked because one of the requirements of this commission was they wanted some of the design to integrate a view of the Statue of Liberty. At the same time, they thought it would be nice if we could, the buildings surrounding Wall Street. So the empty figure kind of became a filter between liberty and Wall Street, freedom and free enterprise, whether you believe that or not. But I mean, they loved that kind of transitional kind of link between those two sacred sites, I guess. It's kind of unfortunate that liberty's in the shoe, in the boot of the soldier. They didn't care about that. And this is the work this is called meditation. It's in Strasbourg it's at the Louis Pasteur University in Strasbourg. And this is it's the site is between the School of Engineering and Botanical Gardens. So I based the structure on a hostas plant. I thought we have hundreds of these plants in my garden in my state. I thought they were very beautiful. It's the long stand with the flowers on the top and these big leaves. So it's actually turning into a kind of topiary now because vines have started to climb up it. And they asked me if I wanted it cut off, and I said no. I mean, I kind of like that. It kind of softens it, and it's surrounded with lavender and boxwood. It's very beautiful. Here's this image, and on this I made an engraving of what the shadow would do. So because it only works 3 times a year. The shadow appears May, June, July at 1 o'clock. So the structure is designed to respond to the Earth's tilt and shift. And I kind of like this idea of I feel like this work is so anachronistic. We're in a generation where speed is getting everything. The people want things faster, and this is about as slow as you can get. I mean, you have to wait, 9 months to see this, and then when it happens, you have to be there and witness this morphing of this form until it makes an intersection with the engraving. But I like that because I think it's very much about the interconnectedness of things. And you have to calm down, you have to wait a little while. And it makes you very much aware of where you are. And so it requires some self-reflection when you're actually experiencing this. And here's the one we have here, the moth. I'm sure you all know the story of the moth, right?
No.
No? Well, thanks to Doug here, when I came, I don't know how it happened, but Doug told me this really interesting story about Mary Hopper, who was an admiral, and was doing research on this Mark IV, I think it was. It was a computer that was invented here. And it broke down, and when they took it apart, they found a moth in the relays, and hence the word debugging. So I thought that was such a beautiful, poetic story. It's a wonderful metaphor, for so many things. And one, I thought this moth, this delicate, small things, can jam up technology. So nature still wins. And the smallest, one of the most insignificant things can screw it all up. And so it's really about, we have these 3 highly engineered, and they were cut and designed on a computer with this, I like to think of it as a virtual moth that's trapped inside it that is only observable from 2 points of view. Because it doesn't exist. It's kind of elemental, virtual. You can't get more elemental, but I think it's the same spirit. It's what these guys work on. And this is a large window that I did for Rutgers this law school. And I still think of this, I mean, what motivated this was a story. It was a story called the Golden Thread speech that was made in Britain that was very important about the law, and it changed the rules about the defendant not having to prove mens rea, but it's the role of the prosecution to prove mens rea, that is criminal intent. And a guy was about to be hanged when the law was changed, and when the prosecution had to prove his criminal intent, they couldn't do it. So he was released. So I thought for law school that would be a very interesting kind of story for these potential lawyers to think about. And this is a 1,500 square foot window. It's all hand blown antique glass, and it's on 2 stories. So it goes. The architecture splits the design. So I thought that was interesting because many. It only becomes unified from the outside. So when you're inside, you're part of this system. These kind of beautiful kind of colors and transitions of glass. And at night, it kind of has this glowing kind of quality. You can see it when you go into Philadelphia or the Benjamin Franklin Bridge. You can see it on the New Jersey side. That's it.
And I will invite all of you to come down and view the exhibition and enjoy some music and some food, and bring your questions down there to talk with Matt. So thank you, Matt, for your talk, also for sharing your art with